there is 1 year for equity, 2 year for real estate, 3 year for debt, any investor will say that 1 year equity is not long term. So making it 3 year across the board will be fine. But we should not increase the tax rates. We should plug the loopholes around capital gains. Zero coupon listed debentures convert interest income into capital gains. 1 lakh crore is the outstanding amount. Assuming 10% interest rate and 25% tax arbitrage, that's collection of 2,500 crore. SME exchange IPOs are clearly, capital gains tax planning. Again, it's converting black income into long-term capital gains. If we plug that, that will result into further savings. Today, STT on cash delivery and F&O is the same. Some tinkering there, which will discourage speculative activity and F&O, again will result into higher income and will be good for the market.
Okay.
ULIP inter-scheme transfers are not taxed. 6 lakh crore AUM, assuming 30% switches, 1,80,000 crore. Assuming 20% tax arbitrage, that's again 3,600 crore for to be taken. So let's plug the loopholes on market-linked zero coupon listed debentures, ULIP interchanges, SME exchange, capital gains tax planning, and such kind of things. Then there will be no need to raise capital gains tax rates.
And this is the era of change, what I believe, for the small and medium scale businesses also. But on the contrary part, when we are seeing a country as to be the export hub, now we are moving to the futuristic industries also. Like we have been targeting to be an export hub for the green hydrogen for the country as a whole. So when you want all the industry to participate into that, you definitely have to place some of the policies which are helping small and medium scale industries to be competitive globally. Because once again, if I talk about the textile specifically, it's difficult for us also to compete against the Chinese at this point of time also. Definitely the geopolitical situation is supporting us, but when we come to the numbers and the economics, it's Indian industries is yet finding it difficult. So there are many things to be addressed in the budget. I think the government support is needed. The government, how the export businesses to be supported, this is the crux. I think that should be emphasized. The government should emphasize.
The 1991 budget speech of Dr. Manmohan Singh is very often regarded as a watershed moment. Actually, it was a watershed speech, but it wasn't a watershed moment, because the most important policy changes which constituted 1991 had already been announced. The devaluation was done before the budget. The trade policy changes with which I was involved, Mr. Chidambaram was then the trade minister, I was Commerce Secretary, that was also announced before the industrial policy had been announced 5 hours before the budget. So frankly, the budget speech went to the public and said, look, we were in a crisis, we've done all these things.
Right.
And now I'm giving you the reason why we are doing. Since then, budget speeches have been converted into something that's going to announce a policy change. I think policy changes should be made independent of budget speeches.
Sure.
And the best budget speech would be one which says, you've already heard the policies we are going to follow. Here are the numbers that have to be fitted into the budget, and then the rather matter-of-fact presentation of revenues and expenditures. That's what we should do.
Reforms or steps have been taken. And so I think even this budget will be at the end of it more or less event-free, which is what we need. We don't need new sudden announcements. But in general, I would think that because of elections or even otherwise, because of just the way the policies have been, and because there have been good GST collections, good railway budget, railway revenue beyond target and all, that there should be no increase in any tax.
Right.
And secondly, that there should be some more money in the hands of the middle class, because generally they have not benefited at all for many, many years in terms of anything from the budget.
Right.
So I think one will be to continue the growth or to accelerate the growth in manufacturing with the PLI scheme and all those, whatever momentum has come. I think government will try and see that that is carried forward. Also, I think there will be the election is 1 year ahead, and inflation has impacted the rural India as well as poor people in the urban India. Therefore, budget will try to do something so that the real income is maintained. So might give them some incentives, some benefits to farmers as well as poor people. I mean, that is something which is typically every government tries to do as a populist thing, but here I think there are more compulsions because of the inflationary
Right.
impact that the lower
Income
income
households.
strata of population, whether it's agriculture or industrial, would have had. The other thing, I think there'll be a huge focus on capex and investment. Because investment cycle and private sector capex also is showing signs of revival after a very long time. So government would try to incentivize that. And capex cycle revival and growth is very important to maintain the economic growth. So I have a feeling that there'll be good incentives and a layout, investment layout for those capex plans as well.